All right, welcome back to Draws and Fades, episode 82, preview of the Sentry Tournament of Champions at the Kapalua Resort Course on the island of Maui in Hawaii. I'm your host, Owen Vrabel, joined by my co-host, Matthew Miller.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back.
And producer, Nick Boss.
What's going on, folks? It's great to see you guys and let everyone else see us, too.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. PGA Tour is back, so are we. I'm excited to get golf betting back into our lives after the holidays. And as Boss just mentioned, we are going to be posting this on YouTube as well. So we're going to start a new YouTube channel at Draws and Fades. We'll post our link on Twitter as well, so you can get there that way. But yeah, let's start off 2022 with some winners, huh, boys?
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Beautiful. So, it's been a little hiatus. We have not had a tournament. Obviously, the Hero World Challenge was a few weeks ago. We had the QB shootout shortly after that. But first tournament of the year, and we'll be previewing the course at Kapalua. We'll be getting into the 40-man field. Criteria for, qualifying for this event is pretty simple. Win an event the year prior, and you're invited to the Tournament of Champions. Last year, a little bit different due to COVID, hence Harris English winning his first tournament in years. But Rory McIlroy is really the only notable guy not to make the trip to Hawaii, and Xander got a exemption invitation this year for winning at the Olympics. So those are really the only little snippets there in terms of the field this week. We'll give you guys what we think will work well here this week. It's typically a birdie fest, a lot of winning scores, 20 under or better for all these elite golfers this week. So we'll go through the odds list. We'll give you our thoughts on the top of the board, mid-range, and long shots, and give you our picks of the week, as well as some thoughts on top 10s, top 20s, and first-round leaders. As always, you can give us a follow on Twitter at Owen_Vrabel, at MattyMills85, and at Draws_N_Fades. And also, if you're looking for some additional content, specifically in the DFS space, check out our buddy Spencer Aguiar at Tee Off Sports on Twitter. He had us on his Be the Number pod yesterday, so go give that a listen as well. We're not usually in the DFS space, so I don't know how seriously you want to take our input there, but we do know golf and we do know what we like, so that was definitely an entertaining show for us.
It turns out we picked some high ownership individuals.
We did do that.
So we're apparently, on the same page as most of the other DFS players.
Yeah, well, we were a little chalky, and we had to, negotiate some of our thoughts and pivot a little bit. But it's one of those weeks, too. With DFS, we're not, privy to a lot of the ins and outs of that and how the ownership projections work and how you kind of go about making your lineups that way. But in a 40-man field, regardless, there's going to be plenty of people that are on the same guys. So similar to your outright card, don't be worried about getting mushed this week just because a lot of guys are on someone that you're on this week. There's only 40 guys, and we'll get into some of the previous winners here. There are a bunch that are in attendance this week, but you see a lot of the big names winning here. There definitely is multiple ways to win this tournament. It's not like a specific type of golfer, but Harris English did win last year, 25 under in a playoff over Neiman. And then JT's won here twice, DJ's won here twice, Xander, Spieth, Reed, even Zach Johnson, Steve Stricker, Jeff Ogilvy has a few victories here. So there's a lot of different types of player that can get it done, but end of the day, they're definitely it's going to be a tough tournament to win. It's a birdie fest with the elite players in the world. So we'll see how we feel about the odds list. That's usually where we start to figure out where we're going to end up making plays this week. But yeah, unless you guys have anything else you want to chat about, we'll give our thoughts on, obviously who we're going to take, but we are at Kapalua. It is known as quite the easy track. Really the only defense is really the wind, which hasn't been too prevalent in years past. I know they're trying to make it more difficult, but you're going to have to make a lot of birdies this week, Matt. So what are we working with at Kapalua?
Yeah, we're at the Plantation Course, par 73, 7,596 yards, Bermuda greens. It's the only par 73 on the PGA Tour, so that's something a little bit different to start the year. We have only 3 par 3s this week, 11 par 4s, 4 par 5s. As you mentioned, very much a birdie fest. 5 of the last 6 winners finished minus 21 or better. So the wind is the only defense the course has, like you mentioned, but we only really saw that back when Justin Thomas won at minus 14. It doesn't look like there's so much wind this week, so I think we're looking at another birdie fest coming up.
Never trust the weatherman, though. We know that.
Yeah, very true. That's a fair point.
We never trust him. So
a little bit about the course itself. It has wide fairways and large greens, so some of the easiest on tour to hit, and a lot of elevation changes. So you look at the yardage, you see almost 7,600 yards, which looks extremely long. But when you take into account the elevation changes, a lot of the tee shots are actually going downhill, which makes the ball, roll out further. And the fact that there's only 3 par 3s, it doesn't actually play as long as the yardage indicates. The last par 5 is like 670 yards, and guys are getting there in 2 because of the rollout off the tee. So I think distance is going to be an advantage this week. And because you have 4 par 5s and they are all scoreable, I think par 5 scoring is going to be big this week. And then Bermuda greens, I think, you noted last year Harris English won. He gained over 6 strokes putting. There is different ways to win this event. Ultimately, in a birdie fest, you're going to have to make putts. So it could very well come down to the hottest putter. We've seen Patrick Reed win this event before. Another very good putter. He's not the longest guy off the tee or the best ball striker. So there's different ways around the course, but I think I'm going to look for distance over accuracy off the tee. Since the fairways are so easy to hit, it doesn't really matter if a guy's accurate off the tee or not, because most guys are going to have no problem finding the fairway. Approach will be key because big greens, you're going to want to get it as close as possible to the hole. And then I think putting on Bermuda obviously is going to be huge this week as well. And, avoiding those 3 putts because you have big greens, and a lot of the time, you're not going to be as close to the hole as you want to be.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that this course is – I mean, it really does set up well for guys that usually have difficulties off the tee. Really tough to put yourself in bad situations. There's not even many hazard areas. I mean, there's tons of bunkers, which I guess is another defense. But when you should be hitting the fairway off the tee and the greens are enormous, like you should be going fairway, green, pretty much every hole. So, and with the elevation changes, I think distance definitely matters to an extent, but also there's, ways that the guys who don't hit it as long can definitely find alleyways to hit the ball a little bit farther. And obviously, if you're in the fairway, you should have a shot in making the green in regulation regardless. Our guys, PGA Splits 101, had some pretty good statistics on what's worked well here over the years. And driving distance is definitely, in comparison to what the tour averages in terms of what's worked well here, it's definitely correlated well for the guys that hit it further. But putting is going to be huge, and strokes gain approach. I mean, it's going to be the guys that are giving themselves the best look at birdies that are going to have the best opportunities to go low. So, I mean, when I was making my model this week, I definitely was focused a lot on strokes gain approach and ball striking, and strokes gain putting on Bermuda. And we've seen people have a lot of success at this course. So course history, it is coming off a little bit of a hiatus. So recent form is kind of tough to gauge. Even if, they played at the Hero World Challenge a few weeks back, I mean, they've still been off for a few weeks, had the holidays. There's a few characters out there. You have no idea what the hell they've been doing over the past few weeks. So it's tough to gauge maybe even the motivation factor. But like I said, we have seen plenty of big names win here. So definitely don't be scared at the top of the board, but try to find some value in there. So I think you kind of crushed that course preview there. I think we're in lockstep. It is pretty long, but it doesn't play nearly as long as it looks because, like you said, that there's 5 par 5s. So yeah, I did indicate I have strokes gain par 5 in my model as well, which, I mean, if you're not birding and giving yourself opportunities for eagle on these par 5s, you're going to be falling behind the field. And it is a no-cut event, so you could potentially have a little bit of a slow day on Thursday and still find yourself with a chance on Sunday. And we obviously have some guys in the field like JT and Xander that love to play well in these no-cut events. But I mean, let's get into the list. I'm on Draftkings tonight.
We're switching it up.
We're switching it up a little bit tonight. We're on Draftkings. John Rahm is your favorite this week? We've seen him and JT kind of go back and forth a little bit, but they're right now. John Rahm is at 7 plus 750, 7.5 to 1. JT is at 8 to 1, and then Morikawa 10 to 1, Bryson 12, and Xander and Victor Hovland at 12. So 6 guys, 12 to 1 or less, and obviously Rahm going off at plus 750. In a typical week, you'd be like kind of throwing up at these lines, and it is still tough to bite a bullet on a number this low in a golf tournament, but only 40 guys. So Matt, did you have any thoughts at the top of the board while we're up here?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I don't usually like to take guys this high up the board, but on a week like this, I mean, this is now a fifth of the field, so
Yeah,
you can't really avoid the top fifth of the board.
well, you can.
I am going to take Xander this week. I saw 14 to 1 on him earlier in the week.
Okay.
I used to take him a lot, took a little hiatus from him last year because he hasn't really won too much recently. But I do like him this week for several reasons. We talked about it in the opening. I mean, he has distance off the tee. He could play par fives well. He's third last year in par five scoring average. He was 14th in approach, which we talked about being big this week. Then you look at the course history. He was fifth last year, came second in 2020, where he actually probably should have won that event. He 3-putted on 18 to kind of choke it away, go to a playoff where he lost to JT. And then he won in 2019, where he shot a ridiculous 62 on Sunday, chased down Gary Woodland. And, in a birdie fest, you're going to need a guy who can put up those rounds where he goes extremely low. We know Xander's very capable of getting hot. And one last thing I like about him, in these no-cut small field events, that's kind of where he seems to thrive.
Yeah.
3 of his 4 PGA Tour victories come at, no-cut smaller field events. If you include the Olympics, which was his big win this year, that's 4 out of 5. So it kind of seems like this is his type of event. Like you said, the number is not amazing, but I do like him this week. I'm going to pull the trigger on it.
All right. Yeah, it is actually crazy that he actually only has 3 PGA Tour wins. Just because considering he's priced as high as he is on the odds list, typically it doesn't seem like you'd be making much money betting on Xander on a weekly basis, but picking your spots and hitting him at these no-cut events, it seems like the best strategy. So good to see you back on your boy Xander. Hopefully it can play well for you. I definitely considered him and I have pivoted in and out of this top of the board range because I really do think that of these 6 guys, like probably 3 of them at least will be in the mix come late Saturday into Sunday. But I found myself really liking the mid-range better this week, which is not unlike me, but I still had a tough time not going anywhere up here, but I like the Xander play. I obviously thought about JT, and it's weird because he really hasn't been great, and he's at 8 to 1. I mean, I get it because he's won twice here. He's played incredible golf here, and I guess, back in early November, he played well at the Mayakoba, and he played okay to end the year with a couple of 4th place finishes at the Northern Trust and the Tour Championship. But 8 to 1, I couldn't really swallow, even though he does have 4 top 5s and 2 wins here. So he was a guy I considered. Morikawa obviously seems to be him and Rahm. There's a chance Morikawa can overtake Rahm again this week for number 1 in the world. He had that chance at the Hero World Challenge before he botched the hell out of that on Sunday, which in turn was then botched by Sam Burns. So Victor Hovland took that home. But yeah, Morikawa has that on the line. I guess Rahm has that on the line too. So I'm sure they're both Rahm looking to stay at number 1 and Morikawa looking to get up there. Did you give any consideration to Bryson?
It's interesting because I could see him playing really well this week when you talk about, 5
par 5
hitters benefiting. And I mean, he's going to smash it off the tee.
With no care in the world.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. I mean, he's just going to bomb away. You don't have to really worry about accuracy this week. I could see him like absolutely destroying the course, but I don't know. He's just not really our guy, to be completely honest.
No.
So I'm never really like jumping to take him. And I feel like he's still kind of like hit or miss. Like he could have some weeks where he's just like really bad still.
Yeah,
so,
but he gives himself so many chances. That's why I definitely considered him too. But it's crazy just looking at Fantasy National, looking at the stats that I use. I mean, he's 3rd in ball striking over his last 36 rounds, first in strokes gained par 5, first in driving distance. And I mean, he's 11th in strokes gained putting on Bermuda. Like, he kind of has all that all together, but it is something with Bryson that can be a little bit of a problem for him, is the short wedges, the short shots into the green where he bombs one out on a par 4, and then some guy that's 75 yards behind him puts it closer than him in 2. So, but I would not be surprised if he absolutely bombs and gouges this place, where he could definitely have put up a ridiculously low round here. So
yeah,
a little bit worried about Bryson. I'm also equally as worried about Rahm. So
yeah, I mean, if Bryson's, like you said, if he's on, I mean, I could see him shooting like minus 28 and just running away with it. But I'm gonna hope that doesn't happen, because I'm not on him this week. So hopefully there's a little bit of a hangover for him and starts off the season slow.
Speaking of hangovers, am I drinking by myself over here tonight? Did you pour yourself any jalapeno wine?
I've pivoted to the White Claws, actually.
Okay. All right. Good to know. I'm not alone. All right. Yeah. I mean, boss, do you have any thoughts on the guys at the top of the board? I think we kind of covered them all, besides Victor Hovland, who I think obviously coming off his win at the Hero World Challenge. Maybe that's why he's now up here, but he seems like the most overpriced guy on the odds list, at least at the top of the board.
Yeah, I kind of may or may not be playing with pro shop clubs at this point.
True. He has still yet to receive his clubs as of Tuesday night.
I have a feeling his sponsor will get him a new set if they need to, although as unideal as that may be. But
I'd like a new set.
Yeah, me too. I'll take the old ones if they're still kicking around there. Just send them east. It's okay, Victor.
Yeah.
In terms of the top of the board, I mean, I kind of did the same thing as you, Owen. I kind of flip-flopped around between a few guys because, I mean, let's be honest, they're all studs. On their day, they can all win. That's why they're here, because they won golf tournaments. Yeah. JT and Colin were kind of the two that I was between the most. But in my pivot, I ended up on Xander with Matt, and it's honestly kind of just because of the number. I mean, I got that 14 as well, Matt. So, Xander at 14, a couple ticks higher than you're looking at JT at 8, and Colin, I think, was at 9 when I last saw him.
Yeah, he's at 10 now. So
10 now, a couple points better for what I think is someone who has just as good of a chance to win. And just a good course history there too. So I'm gonna be on Xander with you there, Matt.
All right.
I like that, boss.
All right. Well, good for you guys. I'm happy for you. I'm not going to join. I'm staying strong, but I do think that Xander's going to play well this week, so I don't think that that's a bad play at all. I think it starts to get pretty interesting in the mid-teens into the 20s, so I'll rattle off a few more names here. Patrick Cantlay is at 1,400. Sam Burns at 1,800. Daniel Berger at 20-1. Cam Smith, Hideki Matsuyama, Jordan Spieth, Sungjae Im all at 22. And then Tony Finau is at 25 and Patrick Reed is at 28. So that pretty much goes all the way up to 30. Pretty big group of guys there. But also, I mean, this goes every week, but I'm on DraftKings currently. The numbers, especially in this range, have kind of been floating around. You can get some better numbers at different areas. We saw on our local some better numbers on Sungjae, on a few other guys. I guess probably pretty similar to a lot of these now. But definitely look around, shop around this week, because you could probably find at least a few points better on some of these guys in the mid-tier, depending on what book you're using. But I guess I'll start it off in this tier. I love Jordan Spieth this week. It's definitely similar to the Xander theory. Spieth loves playing here. He won back in 2016, runner-up in 2014, third in 2017, and finished ninth in 2018. Obviously, we haven't seen him in a couple of years at this event because he wasn't winning. So welcome back to the Tournament of Champions, Jordan. It's good to have you. And it makes sense that he's played well here. His driver isn't as big of a potential issue, hopefully. I mean, unless he's just absolutely crank hooking them or something, but it should be a non-issue for Spieth. And then he obviously needs to get his irons dialed in. And if he can do that, we know he can get as hot as anyone with the putter. And surprisingly, over his last 36 rounds, he's not in the top 10 of strokes gained putting on Bermuda, but he is 14th. And over his last 24 rounds here, like his individual last 24 rounds here, he's first in strokes gained total at this course. So I like Spieth a lot, even at that number at 22. You know, Spieth's a popular guy. I could have seen him easily down where like Cantlay and at Sam Burns are. Although obviously Cantlay coming off of his great finish to the season and Sam Burns as well. So I just love the number with Jordan this week. Pretty excited about it. I feel like this is a week where he can just get absolutely explosively hot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he certainly like models well when you think about Spieth, where he gets himself into trouble sometimes is off the tee. He can get a little wayward, but that should be negated this week with wide fairways. Like you said, he can get really hot with the putter. If he goes on one of those magical runs, I could certainly see him being in the mix. My only concern with him, and I did bring it up to you before, little non-golf related concern. He is a new father, might be, spending quite some time with his new child over the holidays, and maybe he's not focusing as much on golf. Coming in, pretty rusty.
We've had this conversation before because you did the same thing to me with Harold Varner and Ricky Fowler. And to be fair, as of right now, you've been right, but that doesn't mean shit, especially with Spieth. He's like the Magic Beans king. I feel like he'll be ready to roll with the new baby. He's got a beautiful wife. She's probably taking care of the kid. He's been on the range. And if, for the love of God, I hope he's been on the range because he looked pretty bad at the Hero World Challenge. Hitting from the wrong tees. I mean, was like 6 over par in an absolute birdie fest. Just atrocity. But I think
we get Spieth back to a happy hunting ground, and we're going to be good.
Right. So boss, you're on Spieth.
I'm on Spieth. I'll join you there. Wow. I'm just going to keep bouncing between the two of you there.
Beautiful. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that there's enough to say good things about Spieth this week. And obviously, we knew he found his game last year, got a little sloppy towards the end of the year. Maybe he was anxious about the pregnancy, and now that the kid's here, he's got no worries anymore. You know what I mean?
So, hey, that's a spin zone. Certainly a spin zone.
So it is good to have him back in a tournament where you need to win tournaments to get to. So good for Jordan. So I'll give it up. I'll give it to you, Matt. For anyone else between 18 and 28, at least on DraftKings, from Burns to Patrick Reed.
Yeah, I probably to no surprise, I'm going to take Patrick Reed, 28-1.
No surprise.
He obviously, had the whole hospitalization last year. He was pretty bad after that. I was personally vouching for him to be on the Ryder Cup team. He played like complete shit for the next 2 months. Looked like a pretty good decision by USA. They rolled in the Ryder Cup. That being said, he did start to turn around toward the end of last year. He came third at Bermuda and then second at the Hero World Challenge. Actually had a chance in the back 9 there. So
you had him there too.
What's that?
You had him at the Hero World
Challenge. I did have him. I got a little bit excited for a second, and then
that was a whirlwind of an event because Morikawa had like a 5-shot lead, blew it all. Then I had Burns in the lead. I thought I was going to walk in home, and then he 5 chips on the 14th, triple bogey.
Then all of a sudden Reed was live, and then Hovland chipped in for eagle, and all sorts of messy things happened where Hovland won it. But anyway,
Patrick Reed
played well in that event.
Patrick Reed loves it here too.
Yeah, I was getting to that. He has great course history. Won in 2015, second 2016, sixth in 2017, and second in 2020. So good course history. I will also say when you talk about Patrick Reed, he's another guy not really the most accurate off the tee. Sometimes his weakness. Shouldn't really have a problem hitting the fairway this week. And when you talk about, kind of the recipe for Harris winning last year and the fact that this is going to be a birdie fest, you're going to need to make putts. Who better than Patrick Reed? He can
Jordan
get
Spieth.
Flat stick. 4 of his 9 PGA Tour wins come on Bermuda. I'm feeling pretty good about Patrick Reed this week. A lot of guys are on him, but, they're starting to catch on that Patrick Reed is the value on the board. I think that 28-1 is a pretty good number on him.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. But that's the thing. It's like you get addicted to betting Patrick Reed because he's always at a pretty good number for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, I guess metrics wise, like he really isn't as elite as these other guys in terms of ball striking. And obviously his off the tee game can get a little ugly, but he's able to make up strokes around the green and also on the green. So I don't hate it. And I definitely considered it because there were even 30s or above on him as well. So, I mean, if you got a good number on Reed this week, you I mean, you pretty much got a good number regardless, because I think his win equity at least speaks volumes compared to some of the guys that are even in this range. Like Sam Burns, who's at the top of this list at 18-1. My guy, Sam Burns, I've been pounding that drum for the whole year, and I think he's going to be awesome this year. But I'm hoping, I don't know if it's going to happen, because, I mean, just looking at the way his all-around game has come together, he's pretty elite tee to green, and he's awesome on Bermuda. So I think Burns, if he was at a little better number, I would have jumped aboard, but I am going to pivot and get him on the card with a first-round leader play, because I do know he can get hot, but I've also seen him completely throw away leads when he gets them. So I'm going to pivot with a Burns first-round leader. And yeah, I mean, it goes to speak, though, that you're getting a good number on Reed when he's behind even Finau, Sungjae, Daniel Berger, Cam Smith. I mean, all guys that have won less than him. But that being said, I do like a couple other guys in this range. Guys that I haven't really taken a little bit. I'm going to go back to Daniel Berger, who has been absolutely phenomenal with his irons. Strokes gain approach over his last 36 round. He is first in this field, fourth in ball striking, third in tee to green. Pretty middle of the pack in terms of his putting on Bermuda. He's 15th in this field. And I just feel pretty good about Daniel Berger this week. He's played here 3 times, 10th, 11th, and 14th. Nothing crazy to write home about, but similar to Burns and a few other guys, I feel like he's kind of come into his own over the past few years and been more of a threat at events where some of the bigger names are there. He hasn't really competed in some of the biggest events, but I think I'm a little bit worried about the Mai Tais on the beach with Berger. And he also, he posted a wild Instagram of him just laying on the beach, and he hasn't had his clubs yet either. I think he just got his today. So hope he's been hitting the range a little bit, but 20-1. I love this range. I had to jump on board with my guy, Daniel Berger.
Yeah, I like Berger. I considered him. Just didn't really, have room for him on the card, but I do like that pick. I thought about him a lot this week. I think that he could play well. He looked pretty good at the Hero World Challenge too. So
yeah, he did. And he probably should have been more involved than he was. He only shot 1 under on Sunday. So, when in a tournament where, guys were going absolutely low on Sunday, he needed to be better than that, but he still ended up with a 14th, which he was losing strokes to everyone on Sunday. So I like that. I guess the only worry with Berger is where his head's been, if he's been just straight vibing on the ocean or what he's been doing, but that's kind of what you're going to get this week. You don't really know what to expect in terms of where guys' games are at, where their confidence level is. You taking anyone else in this range in the mid tier?
Not up to Reed. No, I'm going to go one range lower. Yeah.
All right. Well, so yeah, I was considering a bunch of guys in this area. I actually was considering Finau as well. But it's funny because this course really should set up well for Finau. I mean, he can be brilliant off the tee. But obviously he hits the ball far. He's not great on Bermuda. He's like 32nd in this field over his last 36 rounds. Not great on the slower type greens. Can be quite the 3-putt machine at times. So a little bit worried about that with him. And made a pivot to a guy I was taking a bunch when we first started this podcast, Hideki Matsuyama. It's been a bit. He also loves it here. He has 3 top 4s. Going back to 2015, we finished 3rd, 2017, 2nd, and 2018, he was 4th. Played atrociously here last year where he lost almost 10 strokes putting. So I can't imagine he duplicates that performance. And then the last time we truly saw him was at the Zozo where he won. So coming off a great year. I know our buddy PJ Tout, John, has referenced how Augusta, that the Masters can be, a decent comp course for here, kind of some open fairways where you're going to need to get close to the hole and make putts, but he also won there last year. So taking that little spin zone and dunking it. So I think Hideki is very live this week, and maybe it's because we haven't seen him in a while, but I think he gets a little disrespect on the odds board sometimes too. I think win equity wise, he can definitely win tournaments, and he's proven that year in and year out. Obviously he's been here plenty of times. So I like Hideki this week and just absolutely hammering the 20 range for my outright card, because that's going to be my last outright pick of the week.
I like that we've come full circle. You're back to Hideki. I'm back to Xander.
Yeah.
It's, hopefully that's a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah. It should be a good sign, hopefully. Yeah, I guess, was there anyone you considered here? I mean, people are high on Sungjae this week, which I get, but
yeah,
Cam Smith even too. Those are the two guys I've seen that people are high on. I think for good reason. They both played really good golf last year. But it's another thing to compete and win at the Tournament of Champions. Well, Harris English did prove that you could do it last year and not be, a heavy favorite. But I think, I don't know, 22-1 wasn't the best number for me. I saw some guys get 30s on Sungjae, which makes a lot more sense. So
I got a 33. So
there you go.
I took it a little bit. I got suckered by the value. Not necessarily suckered because Sungjae's a good golfer, but I couldn't resist. I was looking at two different pages and I was like, this number is significantly higher than everything else. So
yeah,
I'll take a little sprinkle. I mean, he played good in the fall. I mean, he won the Shriners. You know, he's had a bunch of top 10s. He came in 5th here last year, so it's worth a little flyer when you're getting some value on the pick there.
I like that. I do like that. He was definitely in consideration. Cam Smith as well. I think this course sets up well for him. And we were speaking about modeling. I think if you guys listen to this podcast, you know that we do use statistics and we do make models, but we oftentimes slide down the rank sheet even after we make a model. And that's where I laughed when you said Spieth models out well. He didn't really model out that well for me. He was 19th, but I still couldn't resist. So sometimes you just got to read the tea leaves. So
you got to take all factors. It's not all about the data and the models. You got to use the eyeballs sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go over 30-1 on DraftKings. We got a nice grouping here, and then we're pretty quickly up into the 60-1 range. But it's Mark Leishman at 30, our boy Abe Answer, Brooks Koepka also at 30, and then Jason Kokrak, Harris English, Taylor Gooch all at 35. And this is another range where the prices have been a little bit fluctuating, and you can get better numbers here and there wherever you're looking. So I would suggest doing that if you are going to take one of these guys. And I would be lying if I said I didn't consider Abe or Brooks. But I think for Abe, this isn't the best place for him. Obviously, wide fairways, huge greens. I feel like when he has an advantage, it's going to be narrower fairways, smaller greens, where he can kind of pinpoint and get his advantage off the tee and then go from there. So, everyone's going to be playing from the fairway. So, don't get me wrong. If Abe's feeling it with the irons, we know he can get hot with the putter as well. So I don't think top 10s or 20 plays are out of the question with Abe, but I couldn't quite get there on an outright, even though I'm kind of surprised I didn't do it because it is not a bad number considering how good of a year he had last year.
Yeah, I wanted to take Abe, but I agree with everything you said. It's not.
You're wearing the Fletcher Azul hat and everything.
I know, I am, and the black quail shirt.
Yep.
But the problem is it's just not really the course for him.
We're really going to be idiots if he wins. We might have to retire.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't want to think about that possible scenario, but when we say it's not really the course for him, he can play well at this course. It's more just like this isn't the course where he has like an advantage over the field because of the layout.
Right. I mean, but to criticize ourselves a little bit, it's like not like we take Abe at the courses that best fit his game every time anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. Yeah. But I would also say like we have a smaller field here. We got to narrow down the card.
Right.
There's
no room for Abe this week. That's fine. I don't think he's going to be mad.
Sorry,
yeah. And also, I mean, did you consider Brooks? I mean, obviously, you see, it's similar to Reed, where he kind of gets sometimes slides down the board. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but it is tough to gauge Brooks' interest level. This could just be another vacation for him. So
yeah, not only did I consider Brooks, I'm going to take him 30-1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I couldn't let it pass. I was going to let it pass, but I couldn't. He's 30-1 on a 39-man field. And so I do have a little bit of a spin zone here. So I get the idea that he's here for a vacation. He doesn't really care. He's pretty relaxed going in. But I would make the argument that given where this is in the schedule, he doesn't really have that much of a disadvantage over the field going in with that attitude. Like during the middle of the PGA Tour season, I get it. He's going in relaxed to an event. Everybody else is in mid-season form, and they're just, lapping him because they're focused. He's not. Everybody is coming off a vacation where they're all rusty. They're all, just had the holidays. They're on break. Nobody is in mid-season form. No one's played competitive golf for 5 weeks. I actually think that the gap of Brooks not really being that prepared that week is not that big compared to the rest of the field. So I don't think it's that much of a reason not to take him. And he's now 30-1 up against only 38 other guys.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I mean, it's definitely fair. I feel like anytime you take Brooks at 30 or better, it's fair. He obviously hasn't played particularly well here recently, and we saw him kind of play awful at the end of the Hero World Challenge, similar to like Daniel Berger, actually worse. But and he didn't finish the season. Well, he didn't start, I guess, this season technically in the fall swing very hot either. But I mean, he could easily swing that around. I had to struggle to not take him, so I may throw a first-round leader on him as well, because I know that would be my worry for not taking him, is that if he gets off to a hot start, I think that mindset kind of changes. He's like, oh, I could win this week. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like, it's not like he's going to go out there and like try to not hit good shots. Like, I get that he's probably underprepared coming in, but I think that everybody, he's not going to just like, oh, let me purposely miss this 10 feet to the left of the putt. He's going to be out there trying. He's just underprepared coming in, which I think is the case for most of the field this week.
That's fair. I mean, probably not. I mean, we're probably not being fair to a majority of the guys. I think a lot of guys probably do come in prepared, but
at least for the top guys.
We're speculating.
Yeah.
And that's all we can do at this point, because we haven't seen anyone in a few weeks. So
all you can do is create a narrative and run with it.
Yeah. I will say I did see, I mentioned this on Spencer's show last night too. That 12 of the last 13 Tournament of Champion winners did play during the month of December. The stat is not correlating like how well they played, just the fact that they played either at the Hero World Challenge, that, the 2-man QBE Challenge shootout, or I guess there were tournaments in Australia prior to COVID. So Brooks checks that box.
Checking some boxes, yeah.
He's checking boxes.
We do forget, maybe that he did get a win in the swing season, that head-to-head matchup where he dusted Bryson. I mean,
yeah, 1 out of 2, not bad. But he mopped him. So
he did.
Yeah, and that was actually amazing. We never really touched on that because we haven't really done much since then. But he just
that was enjoyable. Yeah.
Very enjoyable. Yeah, especially with Phil picking Bryson to win and like kind of like trying to hype Bryson up the whole time. Sit down, Phil. We'll get to Phil later on in this episode. He's well down the odds list, but he is here in Hawaii this week. With that being said, this is like I tried to mention earlier on. It's not a great week value wise, obviously, for top 10s, and definitely not top 20s unless you go further down the board. Which I will throw a couple of thoughts out there for top 10s down the board, but even like top 5s in this range, you're only getting like plus 500, plus 400 for Brooks and Abe. A bet I am considering, because I think this course should set up well for him, is Kokrak top 10, which is only plus 200 on DraftKings. I'm gonna have to look around to see if I can find a better number anywhere. But I mean, a guy that's an absolute bomber off the tee and can drain putts at the best of him. He's 5th in strokes gained putting on Bermuda, 6th in birdies gained over his last 36 rounds, 8th in driving distance in this field. Like I said, he can definitely put it out there. So I think Kokrak, and obviously we saw him play well at the QBE. Like I'm not putting a lot of value on that, but he's been playing golf and he's been playing well. So, I mean, his partner is here too, Kevin Na, which I don't know if we're going to mention him too much, but Kokrak is definitely in consideration for a top 10 play. Even with the value. What?
I think that'll be his only mention of the episode.
Kevin Na is in attendance. That will be the mention. But yeah, Kokrak was a thought of mine. And I mean, yeah, I guess I'm going to have to add Brooks as a first round leader play as a little hedge on him potentially going nuclear this week. But other than that, I will say our local book has Taylor Gooch at a 50. So I've considered that, considering he's at 35 at most places. So that is tempting, especially him coming off a nice win not so long ago at the RSM back in November. And, that might be that was the last time we saw him, but similar to Hideki, that's the last time we saw him, he won. So does not check the box of playing in December though. So we'll see.
I will say I do like the Kokrak pick. I think I'm going to toss a first round leader on him.
Oh,
don't really
just going back and forth.
A
little first round leader action.
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, he has the ability to go low. He's long, checks out the boxes. If he gets out with that putter, I could see him putting up a very low 1 round. So I'm hoping it's the first, and start off the tournament on a good note. So, but I do like that pick. I think he'll be relevant this week.
Nice. And also exciting, we haven't mentioned this week, but it's supposed to be the first week where ESPN Plus coverage starts.
Are they doing this week?
For the PGA Tour? Yeah, I saw that. So
okay,
I'm hoping that's true, because especially in a smaller field, you can get pretty pissed off at the PGA Tour there's not that many groups out there, and you're still not seeing all the shots. There will be much more options this year, which I'm pretty excited for. We'll see how ESPN handles it, but I imagine it will be much better than last year's coverage. So when you're taking a guy like Jason Kokrak, who is not a fan favorite per se, except for his family, like you might see him more. So, which is good.
I could be wrong, and I probably am, because I really haven't looked into this, but I think the ESPN Plus coverage is just the feature group until the Golf Channel coverage picks up. I hope I'm wrong, because
I don't know. I know the Golf Channel is what starts at 6 p.m., but it's like Hawaii time, so I didn't know what time the tournament actually started. I can't do that calculation from Hawaii to East Coast, so I didn't know if they just had the full thing on there or.
First of all, say Hawaii again.
Hawaii.
The first time you said it was a lot funnier. Yeah, I mean it's 5 hours behind East Coast time. So for us, it's 8:27 right now. It's 3:27 in Hawaii. So we're going to be getting primetime golf, which is nice. And it's going to be beautiful there. It's going to be 15 degrees here. So depressing, but also you get to watch golf at night. So maybe pick up your mood a little bit. But yeah, I'm hoping to see more players than we typically would. Obviously, not that many guys in the field. So hopefully they get that together. We also have been a big Harris English proponent on this podcast, but I would be pretty shocked if he went back to back.
Yeah.
And we also started to dabble back into him and tried to not care about him getting rid of that putter grip that he was using for years. And now he can't putt. So
yeah, well, which is especially concerning because the way he won last year was just putting the lights out.
Right.
So yeah, sorry, Harris, I'm not back on this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I guess he did. Well, he missed a cut at the RSM, but he did gain a stroke putting. So it's much better than his performance at the Shriners, where he lost 6 strokes putting. So maybe Harris gets
pretty sure that was the week that I said that the new putter grip will not have an effect on his putting.
You did say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It very much did. Well, maybe it's something else. Could be something else. Golfers are finicky. Who knows? But yeah, like I said, it goes over from 35 to 60 on DraftKings at least. Maybe you could find some better numbers in that range, maybe some 40s and some of the guys we just mentioned. But we are going to mention Kevin Na again. He is at 60-1. And then we got Seamus Power, Billy Horschel at 70, Siwoo Kim, Max Homa, and Cameron Champ at 80. And then we're over 100 into the bomb sauce of this board. So like I said, my outright card is done, but I mean, in a 39 guy field, it's definitely not crazy by any means to kind of throw a dart or two out there if you have some spare change and you want to get a little frisky. But did anyone stick out here for you, Matt? I mean, obviously we love Homa, even Siwoo, Billy. We love a lot of these guys, but it's gonna be tough for him to win this week.
Yeah, I considered Homa actually. I think I'm gonna go with the top 10 on him plus 320 on FanDuel. I don't know if it's better.
I'm gonna go top 20 minus 110.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty.
It feels a little safer.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to field max.
Yeah, top 10's tough. I mean, you got a stacked field up top, but I do like the way it sets up for him this week. He didn't have a great appearance here. His only time here, he came 25th, but he's starting to become actually a pretty good golfer. He has 3 wins in his past 3 seasons. I don't think that he's now just like, he won that one tournament. He has 2 now, like pretty big wins. He won at Quail Hollow. He won at Riviera. It's like pretty good field events. So I think that he's still kind of getting disrespected in the odds list. He's a long hitter. He was 13th in par 5 scoring average last year. So I think that Homa's maybe a bit overlooked and undervalued this week. So top 10, it's going to be tough for him to get, but I think that he's going to surprise some people, and I'm going to take a shot. Plus 320, pretty good number there.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's pretty middle of the road with a lot of his metrics over his last 36 rounds in terms of approach, ball striking, tee to green. But he is good on the par fives. And like you said, he definitely can put it out there. So he should give himself some nice looks this week. It's just kind of if he can make enough putts. So I'm going to take the top 20. I do think he gets a little bit of disrespect, and a minus 110 on a guy who I think should, not easily, but he should cash a top 20. So let's do that, Max, please. Other than that, I didn't consider anyone else in this range for a prop bet or anything like that. I know people are high on Seamus Power. He played great last year. Obviously, being in this field is impressive for him. So did you have any other thoughts before we get into the real bombs this week?
No,
Right.
I didn't really love anyone else in this range. I mean, we like Horschel, but it's just with the size of the field, it's tough to kind of find a play on some of these guys because you don't get good value in the top 20, and it's tough for them to come top 10.
Right. Yeah. So we'll get into that because I do have a top 10 thought that's all the way down here and a potential first round leader thought down here too. But over 100, Joel Damon is at 100. He was at better odds earlier this week, and he actually maybe at different prices on different books.
Yeah, you can get him at 120 on FanDuel.
Okay. Higo at 110, Brendan Grace at 130, Lucas Herbert at 130, Cam Davis at 130, and then Kisner and Phil Mickelson also at 130. And we'll just go all the way down the board here. Eric Van Rooyen, completely forgot he won a tournament at 140. Matt Jones at 140, KH Lee, Lucas Glover, and Stuart Sink rounded out. KH Lee and Lucas Glover at 150, and then old man Stuart Sink down there 200 to 1. So, I mean, in a 39-man field, it is kind of crazy to see golfers who won golf tournaments in the previous PGA Tour season being over 100 to 1. But so, like I said, and our guy Joe, what's his Twitter handle?
Tour Picks.
He loves the Tour Picks. He loves the lunchtime long shots. He mentioned a few of these guys, but it's not going to be easy for any of them to do it. But that being said, I like Joel Damon this week, and I'm going to take him top 10 at plus 400. He's not crazy at really any aspect of his game, but he's very well rounded. And actually, a stat that was kind of surprising me, I didn't turn it into any specific yardages, but in proximity over his last 36 rounds, he is first in this field, and 8th in birdies gained, 14th in both approach and ball striking. He's definitely not going to be one of the longest guys here, but I think, again, similar to even Reed and Spieth, where he's not going to be at a disadvantage necessarily off the tee because he should be in the fairway, and hopefully you can find some of those speed tracks. So yeah, I like Damon this week, and I'm hoping to catch lightning in a bottle for a little top 10 at plus 400 because, like we mentioned, that's about as juicy as you're going to get for a prop this week.
Yeah, I could see Joel with the bucket hat playing well in Hawaii. This is kind of seems like his type of event. He's on an island. He's feeling himself. So I don't hate it.
Could be a little Mai Tai problem for him too, maybe with Homa and the boys, but
yeah, I actually don't really love that him and Homa are there together. I think they're kind of like boys and go back and forth. So hopefully they stay focused this week.
Well, if they're both playing well, that'd be good.
Yeah, they need to both start off well. Otherwise, we could be in trouble.
We could be in serious trouble. But yeah, that's my last prop that I'm really locked in on right now. I do have a long shot first round leader down the board, which may be surprising to people, but do you have any other thoughts at the end of the board here?
Yeah, I'm going to take a top 20 on Phil.
Okay. I'm going to take a first round leader on Phil.
Yeah, I might be on board on that as well. I mean, he's just a complete wild card. I don't know what to expect, but he's so far down that in like a 39-man field, I feel like I had to do something with him. Yeah, he's the defending PGA champion.
Right, and that's been his comeback on Twitter for basically everything. He won the PGA.
Well, and also, I mean, when you think about him, he just now hits bombs, and this is a pretty forgiving course in terms of the fairway. He's going to be pretty good off the tee.
It should play a lot like a Champions Tour event, Senior Tour,
where he cleans up. So
yeah, I mean the field's gonna be a little different, but
yeah. Well, Stuart Sink is setting the tone pretty comparable to the Champions Tour.
Yeah, wait, let's not. I don't think he's that old yet. He's pretty old, but
you didn't introduce him as old man Stuart Sink.
Yeah, no, that's my bad. Yeah, sorry, Stuart. How old are you? Like 40 something? He's 48. So yeah, he's getting up there. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think in terms of value, Phil can definitely get hot and shoot 8 or 9 under maybe on Thursday and win the first round leader. That'd be awesome. But I'm certainly not expecting that. It's going to be a low leverage play. But yeah, and it's funny because I don't know if there's really no one that you go to and that you really trust down here for guaranteed to put up a good performance. But I think Brendan Grace, Cam Davis could both play well this week potentially. Even I'm not going to do it, but I like Lucas Glover props I was looking at, unfortunately.
Oh, you haven't got off Glover yet.
We're going back to our roots, boys. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Although I actually feel like it would be fair. You hit on Glover live during that tournament when he won.
Yep.
And I actually drunk bet on Eric Van Rooyen when he won live. So I feel like it would almost be fair that we like pay it back and take them for like top 20 or something.
All right. I could pay it forward. Yeah.
Pay it forward. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's not going to be good. He's plus 550. I mean, yeah, he's plus 130 for a top 20.
Plus 130?
Yeah. Like I'm saying, he's only plus 500 for a top 10, which is insane. He should definitely be like 1,000. But this is where we get off the rails sometimes.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah. I mean, I would be so, I mean, if this is a regular tournament and I looked at like Lucas Glover, like, and then he's like 12-1 to be top 20, now we're talking. But
what is he top 5?
Like 5-1. Oh, 5. Oh, top 5. Let's see. Top 5. He's 20-1 top 5. Wow. That could be interesting.
That's like an outright for you.
Yeah. Don't tempt me. We'll see if that ends up happening, but I don't think so. But I guess we could get into a little recap here. I hammered the 20 mid-tier range with Berger, Spieth, and Hideki between 20 and 22. I'm going to take top 10s on Kokrak and Damon and a top 20 on Homa, and then first round leaders on Burns, Brooks, and Phil. So I actually kind of like that card the way it came out because I didn't know what to expect when I was looking at this event. So a little bit fuller than maybe I was expecting, but not bad. I could have gone way more off the rails.
Yeah, no, it's pretty tame.
Bravo.
I am going to go outright with Xander, Patrick Reed, and Brooks. I think I'm going to take Xander for a top 5 too. He is plus 210 for top 5. Not great, but he's been top 5 each of the last 3 years here, so I think he's going to play pretty well this week. I'm going to take Homa for the top 10, plus 320. Phil, plus 200, top 20. And I'm going to toss a first-round leader on at least Kokrak and Phil. I'm considering Homa in that category as well.
Wow. All right.
And then if you do indulge in Lucas Glover, I'm agreeing to throw an Eric Van Rooyen prop in there. So
it's a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, all right, let's not give
some money back to the golf gods. I hope you give us a win.
Jeez, show a little respect for him.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm actually surprised. I totally forgot about that Van Rooyen live play that you had too. Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah, and what happened was actually it wasn't even televised. It was when Abe won the WGC.
Right.
And my phone died, and I didn't even know what happened. And I woke up the next morning and I had to charge my phone. And I had to Google, I just typed in Eric Van Rooyen. I'm like, please let this be like good news. And turned out he won. So it was a great early Monday morning wake up. Yeah.
You can't beat that. You cannot beat that. So boss, you're taking Xander and Spieth. We adding anyone else in there? Oh, Sungjae at 33
Sungjae as well.
Awesome. Okay.
I'll probably take. I'll jump on the Phil first round leader train. Take the wild card there.
I like that.
I'll probably add another guy or two, but I haven't really narrowed that down yet. So Kokrak, thoughts appealing. Might do Spieth, see if he drops the magic beans straight out of the gates.
Right out the gates. All right.
So we'll see.
All right, I love it. So episode 82 is in the books. Again, check us out, obviously, on your podcast feed as well, as we shall be on YouTube this year. So it's exciting. And
subscribe to the YouTube channel. Get the subscribers up. Tell your friends. Like
and subscribe.
review, subscribe,
Review.
all the good things.
Leave a review. Leave a 5-star review.
Yeah.
Please. All right. All right. See you guys next week. Let's do it.
Later.